windows arranged. That's the bitch of it all. Like, when I finally have Pamela open, I like to have my setup in a specific way where I can see my full Skype page while also having, like, Pamela over so I can see the recording time, like how long we've been going.
Mm-hmm.
So it always takes a minute, so it's always kind of awkward. It's like, we're about to record! We're recording! Now I have to rearrange all my windows. But anyway, hello everyone! I am Zazubaar, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Demons from Outer Space to be recorded in 2015. Joining me as always is a Bat fan, Dylan McCandless, a.k.a. Super DM64.
Did you just refer to me as a Bat fan?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Are you of both the animal and the character?
I mean, sure.
You're a fan of Batman and the bats in which he embodies.
Certainly. Why not? I don't have nothing.
Dylan, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
It is the year of our Lord 2015.
Which means science has to, get cracking, because I expect the planet to look like Blade Runner by the end of the year.
I know, we need to have, 18 Jaws, no, not 18, 15 Jaws sequels in the coming, 12 months.
A lot of shit has to happen very quickly.
I know.
We missed the 2001 mark. Let's not fuck up again, guys.
Yeah, I know, exactly. 2012 we fucked up on, the world didn't end. Well, I guess we didn't want to fuck up on that.
It's come on.
I guess the fuck up would have been making that come true.
It's come on, science.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, science! Stop dragging your ass!
You got one job.
You got one job, to make the world look like movies.
Now do it, damn it.
Who directed Back to the Future 2?
I assume it was Robert Zemeckis.
Okay, I thought so.
Because he directed Back to the Future 1. I think he did all three of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel bad for him now, because it's he was far enough away from this decade to make that movie back in the 80s, and back then his thought process was, 2015, who on this production team is going to live to see that decade?
We're all gonna die. Y2K, man.
Exactly. So there was kind of a carte blanche of however we want to make it look, nobody's going to dispute it, because that's a far off future that nobody's ever going to get to. And now it's 2015 and the world looks nothing like that. But every now and then it's the whole stereotype has always been, we're in the future now and it still doesn't look like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
And I think that there's kind of this expectation that the world will be always kind of, that the world will one day you're just going to wake up and the world will just suddenly be futuristic.
It will be like the Jetsons.
Well, it'll just be, because it'll be like this alien place that will always be incredible, and there's just, but there's got to be a 180 turn. You know what I mean? It's not we don't see that, because the thing is we don't see the progression from the Flintstones to the Jetsons, because we had they take place in the same continuity as that crossover movie told us. So we don't see that progression. So when you watch an episode of the Flintstones and you watch the Jetsons, it's there's this really drastic shift of tone and setting. So it's that's the future, and that's the past. That doesn't happen in real life. It's a kind of a slow progression of different technological and kind of societal advancements that slowly work up to where we were when did Back to the Future 2 come out? In 1989, I want to say?
Something like that.
Whenever Back to the Future, I'm going to look it up now. Whenever Back to the Future 2 came out, too.
It's set.
Now.
It's set in 85 and 2015 and 55. It's set in those years.
Okay. Well, let's see what year it came out.
Also,
yeah, I was right. 89.
There's also this expectation that the future will be perfect, and
Yeah, well, I mean, not so. I mean, you brought up Blade Runner earlier. That's certainly not a perfect future.
No, but it's like the Jetsons. Although, to be honest, think about it. Bad shit has to happen in the Jetsons world. We just don't get to see it. Can you imagine falling out your window in the Jetsons? Jesus.
Have you ever heard the fan theory that like all of the reason why the Jetsons live in the sky is because down below is like a destroyed Earth with like fucking mutants and shit?
I would love it if that's true.
I know. Well, they never go down to ground level unless it's on an alien planet.
Like,
you know what I mean? So why not?
Imagine the Jetsons come down to like the surface of Earth and it's like some Herculoid shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the closest I think that classic sci-fi ever got to depicting a perfect future in regards to Earth is Star Trek. Because it's stated in Star Trek that, well, Earth is basically a utopia, and now they've joined the Federation, and kind of their mission is to kind of spread out this message of peace and unity to the rest of the universe.
Yep.
If I interpret the message of Star Trek correctly. But what's interesting about Star Trek is that the only way we were able to get a perfect future was with the help of aliens.
Yeah.
Because the beginning of the Star Trek universe is when the Vulcans made first contact, as depicted in Star Trek First Contact.
They showed up. They showed us a bunch of shit. Luckily for us, they were not the aliens from that fucking episode of The Twilight Zone.
Right.
Or
the Exilians from Final Wars.
Or those Exilians. These aliens were sincere in their motives.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of interesting. Because think about this. So there's always like there's a wide range of different ways you can tell the whole First Contact story. And I'm not just talking about Star Trek, but we'll use Star Trek as the example, along with the other ones we mentioned, to kind of create the variety of how it can go. But if you really think about it, of all the different alien races that could have made first contact and it could have gone really poorly, it would have been the Vulcans, because they're built entirely on logic. So what exactly do you think was their logical reasoning for going down to Earth and presenting them with this? Because isn't really the biggest thing they gave them was the warp drive?
No. They didn't give them the warp drive. They came to Earth because humanity had discovered the warp drive. You see, the warp drive was invented on Earth by... I forget his fucking name. Anyway, this guy invents the warp drive. Basically,
yeah.
What the Federation does is they monitor civilizations, and once a civilization has reached a certain level of technology, warp drive, then they are ready to be approached by the Federation and be brought into the Federation and what have you.
So that's the purpose of that opening scene in Star Trek Into Darkness, where they're on like the tribal planet, and they're not allowed to reveal themselves because that race is so far away from races that are part of the Federation.
Yeah, there's a fantastic episode in TNG where Riker and some others they go undercover and on an alien world that's not yet ready for inclusion in the Federation to gather information on the society and what have you. There's a whole process that you go through.
Is this the episode where it's an alien planet, but it looks exactly like our world, but the people are aliens?
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty much like our world.
Yeah, I saw this one. Okay, I love this episode as well.
Or like this. Basically, they were trying to determine whether or not this society was ready to reach ready to have first contact, because that society was starting to reach warp drive capability and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were basically where we were in the early to mid 90s.
But basically, what wound up happening was that society was not actually ready for first contact because
of how they reacted.
Yeah, there was some bad shit that went down.
Right, exactly. And there's this great scene where Picard sits down with kind of like the United Nations of that planet, and they basically come down to, we're going to cover this up, and when you are ready, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting spin on the whole alien cover-up. It's kind of a reverse thing. It's like, instead of the aliens coming to us and we cover it up because we think our society isn't ready, we went to them and we determined their society wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Because in most sci-fi stories that kind of have a broad universe like Star Trek or like Doctor Who, it's never presented that humans are the ones to make the big technological jump first.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least in terms of the stuff that I've been exposed to. Almost always, an alien race is the first one to extend their kind of reach out to the stars and go to other planets. And it'd kind of be interesting to see what a universe would look like if that wasn't the case. Like, what if it was one where we made that jump first and we exited our solar system and went to an alien planet and found a civilization that's kind of like not space worthy yet, but not like tribal, like that race in Into Darkness.
Well, what Star Trek does that I think is the most realistic take on it is that we're not the first to make the leap, but there's a whole spectrum of some people who are more advanced than us and other people who are less advanced, and so there's a whole sort of broad spectrum.
But mentioning that episode earlier, one of the best lines is when they say, it's happened before where we bring in civilizations before they're ready. Example, the Klingon Empire. And that's why all those wars happened. I don't know nearly enough about Star Trek to continue to talk about this intelligently. But I just think it's interesting to say to kind of look at like fiction's version of the future, and then we get to that year, that future, and how different it is than how it was foreseen in those films. Now, Back to the Future 2 is a weird example because it's a comedy.
It's kind of a comedy.
Kind of a comedy. So, it's kind of, I don't think it's quite as, you can't really hold it up to the same standard as something like Star Trek or I'm trying to think of another, you mentioned I guess Blade Runner would be kind of the example because it's more of a serious, a cautionary tale and an exploratory tale of what it means to be human and, about kind of prejudice and persecution and, damning ourselves in the future. So, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. But I was trying to get to something earlier through all this alien talk. Oh, there's one. Okay, the reason why we got on all the Star Trek talk was I was asking you, of all the races that could come down and conquer us, don't the Vulcans make the most sense? Because they'd be like, well, we're way more advanced than these fucks, so why don't we just conquer them? Logically, that would make sense. But I guess by the same token, logically, they must have worked out that the more of the advantage is bringing them into the Federation rather than conquer them because the benefits outweigh. They kind of weigh the pros and cons of each and this planet is more ready for will be more suited as an ally rather than a colony.
Yeah. And it's not like they were sort of. I mean, yes, the Vulcans are driven by logic, but it's not like they're not like the fucking Borg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's true as well. They're not completely devoid of emotion, as Spock and the relationship between Spock and his father has shown.
What they basically have done is suppressed emotion, because Vulcan emotions are incredibly violent, or not necessarily violent, but they have incredibly powerful emotions, which is why they had to suppress them. And then there are the Romulans who thought otherwise and went off and became their own people.
Right. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting. But yeah, so we're in the year 2015 now, and it's just really what's kind of strange about it is I'll have moments every now and then where I'll look at the present day and go, well, we are kind of in a Jetson-like future in small ways, just in terms of, and I guess part of this is because we're not kids anymore, and the more things start to develop, the less used to it we get. So, for example, it's like cell phones. Who cares? We grew up with cell phones. They're no big deal to us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But an iPhone, on the other hand, like an iPhone 6, that we can see is vaguely futuristic because of how, in terms of how, it's a computer in your hand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would die to go back to myself in 2005 and go, in 10 years, you're going to be able to go on YouTube, or not 2005, let's say 2007. You're in 8 years, you're going to be able to go on you're going to be able to go on YouTube on your cell phone in class and watch an entire movie in class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the moments where you're like, well, we are in the future. Things have changed. It doesn't all stay the same. But again, I think it's that kind of like gradual shift that is different than like these futuristic portrayals of that we see in movies and stuff. We're 20 minutes into this episode. I don't think we've thrown out one really bad curse word yet.
Really?
I don't think so.
Let me fix that. Fuck.
Fuck. Pussy. Dicks. Assholes. Labia.
Labia. Did you ever find out what a vulva is?
I know it's part of the vagina.
Because when we were doing the fucking Christmas special, we were doing the Mad Libs, I was like, vulva. And you were like, I don't know what that is. And me and Andre started laughing our asses off because you didn't know what a vulva was.
I knew it was part of the vagina. I just didn't know what part. I still don't know what part.
No, that's like, you were like, I don't know what that is. And me and Andre started laughing. And I told Andre, I said, because he's never seen one.
Well, I've seen them in videos that are in my favorites.
Oh my.
But part of it is it's let's just completely change gears from like intelligent fucking talk of the future and of humanity to pussy.
Let's go straight to porn, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So, Dylan, tell me, what exactly is a vulva?
A vulva is...
It would be hilarious if you didn't know this.
It's part of the vagina.
I know it's... Okay, do you seriously not know what specific part it is?
I mean, those things are so confusing, man.
Oh my god. So, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna look this up. Let's find out what part of the vagina the vulva is. When you first said it, I thought you said Volvo, and I was like, oh, so it's like a car.
Oh, it's like the whole thing.
The area between the labia minoria is called the vulva vestibule, and it contains. Oh, okay. So it's like
it's like a.
So it's like scrotum, kinda. It's like the general area.
It's like the whole like shebang. It's the vulva.
Right. It's like another word for vagina, basically.
Kind of.
Exactly.
This is interesting.
I'm glad we've worked this out. I remember. This is such a random thought, but I wanted to say it because I thought it was fucked up. I remember when I was young, and you know how you used to, you know, did you ever have to do like summer reading for school or whatever? You have to read books over the summer and then do reports on them when you got back to school.
I never did that because that was like extra. That was like optional. That was like extra credit shit, and I was like,
that was optional?
Yeah.
They forced us to do that shit. So
those bastards.
We did that. And I one year, I basically always tried to pick one book that I actually wanted to read, and then the shortest one. So that's what I always did. One I wanted to read, and then the shortest one. So I did that one year, and one book that I read was a book about the Holocaust, and it wasn't the Diary of Anne Frank, but it was kind of like the Diary of Anne Frank. It was a first-hand account of some.
Is this shit by that Jewish guy? Fuck, what's his name?
Well, no, yeah, I'll tell you.
Shit.
Eli Wiesel or whatever. Eli Weasel? No, that's not his name.
Oh, yeah. I've read this. Like he goes into detail about being like on the train to it or whatever, and then he gets there.
Yeah, there's a scene where he's describing like running in the snow naked with his dad, and his dad died, and it's all really sad.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. What is it called?
I don't remember. And I don't remember the dude's name. I remember his name was weird because it was a Jewish name and like it wasn't pronounced the way it was spelled.
I'm pretty sure his first name is Eli. I'm almost positive. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So I read that book, and that was the book I wanted to read. And then the book that was shorter that I didn't really care about was a book that was also written in the first person and was also a historical... I think it was historical fiction, though, not historical drama. I mean, not historical, like, you know... nonfiction. I think it was a book about the Civil War. It was about, and it wasn't terrible. It just didn't strike my interest. It was about this Union soldier who was like 16, and he went into the war to provide for his mother and his younger sister. And like he would send all the money he made in the war back. And he was just like describing like the transition from kind of everyday, and this story has been told a million times, like that transition from like everyday life to being a soldier. And he describes this scene, and again, I'm pretty sure this was historical fiction, not historical nonfiction. But there was this scene where he was getting water out of a river or something, and he looks across the way, and there's just a Confederate soldier doing the exact same thing, and neither of them have their weapons on them. And they don't really know how to react, because they're not in the middle of a battle, they're just kind of doing their thing. So they don't really know how to react to each other, like whether or not to attack each other or to or to just kind of ignore each other. And they end up actually like kind of they don't share any dialogue together, but they kind of become friendly with each other. And I don't really remember this. I think the Confederate dude gives him a canteen or something to put water in. I don't remember the specifics, but that scene really stuck out to me. But the reason why I bring this up, because we were talking about blood, was this fucking scene where they go, because the transition happens where it's like, he's kind of the everyday guy to like an amateur soldier to a good soldier, but he's kind of conflicted about the battles, which is why that scene with the Confederate soldiers in there, to a full-fledged, like, war-hardened professional soldier. And that's embodied when he goes into the middle of a battle, and this was the day, long before the days of multiple firing weapons, so, these are the days where it's like you fired off, like, maybe 6 shots, and then it's like, take forever to reload. So bayonets and swords were still widely used. And he was in the middle of this battle, and he's covered in blood, and he goes back to, like, the medical camp because he thinks he's injured, and they're like, oh my god, sit down, you must be terribly injured, and they look him over, and they're like, none of this is your blood. You can go back to the war now. And he walks off, and it's like, and from that moment on, he doesn't really, his heart is kind of out of the war. Like, he kind of realizes that he's lost his humanity a little bit. It's actually, the more I talk about it, the better it sounds. It's actually a pretty good book, but I don't remember the name of it at all, so it's not even like I can recommend it. But that just jumped into my head.
Remember we had the conversation about how do we react if somebody actually asks us to sign their ass? It's like,
oh, we're doing it. We're signing the fuck out of their ass. I'm putting my signature on somebody's ass. I don't care if it's with a pen or like a branding iron. Whatever I have to do, I'm signing that ass.
That is something that's going to happen.
If you're a true fan of SOS, you will go up to us at G-Fest and go, hey guys, you're the SOS, right? Yeah. Will you sign my ass? And you have to do the voice, otherwise it doesn't matter. Otherwise we won't even react.
And I will look at you for a moment, and then I will say, you got a pen?
Exactly. No, it has to be either...
And you'll say no, and I'll say, well, then I guess I can't sign your ass, can I?
I do have this screwdriver, though. I don't know what we were thinking. Yeah, 20 minutes to get from Carl Place to LaGuardia is more than enough time. We'll get there in 10. Aren't we just a couple fucking geniuses?
Missed my damn flight. Got a different flight. Couldn't get on the different flight.
And then we saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Again.
And had the worst movie viewing experience of our lives.
It was kind of awesome, though.
It was vaguely awesome because of how bad it was. Not the movie, just the theater experience.
I mean, from the minute I sat down, I was like, this is going to be much shittier than watching it in Chicago.
This is going to be magical.
Because the first thing I noticed was how much more cramped it was in that theater. The seats were way closer together than they were in that theater.
Well, when you go from Chicago Royal fucking movie theater to AMC chain theater in a mall in New York, in Carl Place, there's going to be a decline in quality.
The minute you sit down, you're like, oh, I'm kind of cramped here. Shit.
Exactly.
This is going to suck.
This is going to be some bullshit. So, yeah.
And then it happened that we were watching the movie with, like, the most moronic bunch of idiots.
I never realized how dumb the majority of people in New York were until I got back from another state. And I was like, this is the fucking most brain-dead bunch of fucking Neanderthals.
Remember?
Where'd they get the horses from?
I was about to bring that up. I remember you went back to the theater to get your jacket. And I'm sitting up there listening to these fucking people talking about the movie. And when we get up to the
trying to, like, form some kind of analysis of the film.
And then when we get back to the Jeep, I'm like, you know what their big criticism of the movie was? Where did they get the horses?
And then we did a bit where Caesar called up a ranch like, we want horses! Well, all right.
And what was even funnier is after the chick who said that was like, where do they get the horses? The people that she was with, like, reacted like she was so fucking smart. Like, yeah, you know, they
Yo,
never,
that right.
Yeah, you know, they never explained that. What's wrong with this movie?
Yeah, fucking idiots, man. Hey, man.
Like, it doesn't matter where they got the fucking horses.
Who fucking the horses are on screen for, like, 2 seconds.
You want to know where they got the horses? Weta, that's where they got the fucking horses.
Yeah, from the digital realm.
So
they're not even real fucking horses.
Well, some of them are, but just shut the fuck up.
Don't worry about it.
Why are you focused on the horses when there are intelligent apes on screen?
Yeah, exactly. There are apes shooting people with machine guns. Don't worry about where they got the horses from.
Double-wheeled machine guns riding through a wall of fire on horseback, hijacking...
Also, I gotta say, having just rewatched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and as much as I love it and think it's brilliant, it is kind of bullshit that Koba doesn't get shot while he's doing that, because it is just a line of gunfire being barraged. They're charging right at the people firing, and Koba's not, like, aiming. He's just kind of spraying the machine gun everywhere because he doesn't really know how to use it. And they're aiming at him specifically because he's the leader, and he does not get shot once.
Do they know that he's the leader, though?
I'm sure. I mean, but he's at the front. He's the first one.
Yeah, but I don't...
I'm sure.
Okay, yeah,
I'm sure they formulate that.
I mean, sure, he's at the front of the line, but I don't think they realize that he's the leader. Because, first of all, the only humans that saw him before that point were the two that he killed previously.
What do you mean? No, frickin' Gary Oldman saw him too because they all came up to the place earlier and threatened them.
But he was just like part of the crowd in that scene. I think everybody in the fucking human camp was a little bit more focused on fucking Caesar, like yelling at them.
Don't fucking fuck with my shit.
Do you think any of them looked at Koba and thought, "Oh, who's that motherfucker? He looks badass."
I'm sure. Well, we know that Malcolm did because Koba like snarled at him.
Well, Malcolm is not your average dumb ass human.
He's not your average New Yorker.
He's smarter than the average bear. Okay. So.
Smarter than the average bear. Yeah, let's do a Yogi Bear Planet of the Apes crossover. Let's see how that goes.
But they have no reason to...
Hey, boo-boo! Damned us all to hell! Boo-boo!
As far as Gary Oldman knows, the attack is ordered by Caesar. Like, that's the only ape leader he has seen up to that point. They probably can't even tell because it's dark. They probably can't even tell the apes apart. And like, hey, that's that one...
You know, even if it was light out, they probably wouldn't even be able to tell the apes apart.
And it's like, hey, that's that one from earlier.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. That was the other thing. We were just so in love with the sincerity and the joy in that man's voice, and he was just like, let's give him some, man. Let's see what happens.
My attitude when it comes to alcohol and Andres.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, let's give him some, man. Let's see what happens.
What happens?
Magic will happen.
He was so happy.
He was genuinely excited. The other thing is, like, it's kind of convenient that it was the exact same two dudes there when Koba went back days later to get guns. It's kind of convenient that it's the exact same two dudes.
I mean, and how many dudes do they have on guard duty?
No, they're not guarding. They're training with the guns.
Oh yeah, it's true.
They're doing target practice basically to make sure all the guns work.
Maybe those two dudes just hang out at that spot.
That's their hangout. That's their basement from that '70s show.
That's just where they like to, chill and shoot guns.
That's where they make their circle.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand. That makes sense to me.
Do you think there's any weed in the post-apocalyptic Planet of the Apes world?
I'm sure there's more weed in that world. I'm sure there's a lot higher usage of marijuana in that world.
Like, who's got time to smoke weed when they're busy, fighting apes?
You'll make time. You'll make time in the post-apocalypse to smoke weed. Just to briefly forget that it is the post-apocalypse.
Is nobody going to call it that? Welcome to the...
What's happening?
We're in the post-apocalypse.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, does anybody ever in a post-apocalyptic movie go, doesn't it suck that we're living in a post-apocalypse? I mean, sometimes they'll refer to...
Isn't this post-apocalyptic?
I mean, I guess oftentimes they'll call it the apocalypse when the world ends. But...
It's such a weird thing.
It would... I mean, I guess it's the same way as, like, we don't... I mean, if you ask the Jetsons, where are you, what time, what setting is this? They would go, this is the present day. They wouldn't go, we're in the future.
We live in a post-apocalypse. Oh, okay. Wait, what?
It's kind of a weird way to describe what time you're in.
Well, post-apocalypse is such an unusual term, because here's the thing. If there are people around to say, hey, we're in a post-apocalypse, it's really not a post-apocalypse, because the world...
Well, that's the thing. It's like the world is not... The world ending is such a... It's kind of, what's it called? What's the term for exaggeration? I guess it's an exaggeration.
Hyperbole.
It's a hyperbole, because it's like, the world didn't end.
Bunch of people died.
Society collapsed is what happened.
I mean, let's be real here.
It's more of a post-societal collapse than it is post-apocalypse. Because the biblical apocalypse is not just, it's not just a couple nukes go off and then people stop, going to the bank every day. It's the literal end of Earth. You know what I mean? Life stops.
Listen, in a true apocalypse, everybody gonna die. All right.
Exactly. The prospect presented in Armageddon is a literal apocalypse because it is the end of the world. Earth will no longer exist. Not really the case in Planet of the Apes.
No.
It's not really a post-apocalypse because of the world didn't end. The human civilization ended. It was the end of a dynasty, so to speak, and the Apes dynasty is just beginning. It's not It's more of a post-apocalypse in the original series because of the nukes, but it's still not really an apocalypse because, though, couldn't you make the argument that was more of an apocalypse because the entire landscape of the world changed?
Well, I mean,
New York, because you gotta imagine.
To be completely honest, Beneath the Planet of the Apes is an apocalypse because at the end the entire world does get destroyed.
Right, but even the first movie, with the future that's presented there, it's kind of spoilers, I guess, for anybody who hasn't seen the original Planet of the Apes. That we are on the planet Earth.
First of all, what? Go watch the fucking movie. What?
Yeah, exactly.
It's been... What year did that fucking movie come out? How many years is this?
1968.
It's 1968. It's been fucking... I don't know.
43 years.
40...
No, it's 47 years.
47 fucking years.
Yeah, you should probably watch it.
You should go watch the fucking movie. What are you sitting here for? Turn off this podcast.
Why are you listening to the Demons from Outer Space? Go watch Planet of the Apes.
Stop listening to us. We don't have anything insightful to say. You know who does have something insightful to say? The fucking movie Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Charlton Heston.
Go watch that damn movie.
A civilization where apes evolved from men? There's got to be an answer out there somewhere, and I'm going to find it. Don't look for it, Taylor.
All right.
You might not like what you find.
All right. Here. All right, listen here. If you have not seen the original Planet of the Apes, pause this video and go watch it right now. We'll wait for you.
And then come back, yeah. In the meantime, Dylan and I will...
See? Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't that just the greatest film experience of your fucking life?
Wasn't that a beautiful piece of fucking cinema right there? How about that?
Dude.
How about that see no evil, hear no evil shit? That was genius.
Dude, flight is a scientific impossibility. What about that fucking scene?
How do you like that?
Dude, that scene's amazing.
That
Talked about it on my last live show. How about that scene where frickin' Dr. Zaius is like, Taylor, where's your tribe? And Taylor's like, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Dr. Zaius is like, oh shit, you crazy, bro. That's my favorite scene.
his exact words.
I want to act out. I want to do like a one-man show version of Planet of the Apes where I play all the roles. But I don't like memorize the script or anything. It's kind of my interpretation of the plot. So it's like these fuckers flying around in space, and you know they crash on this planet, and one of them dies. And I mean, in the spaceship, and they go out on the planet, this desert, and there's like weird looking lightning.
How about?
And there's like a grave with a flag in it, and Charlton Heston gives this really creepy laugh, and fucking they walk across the desert, and
everybody exits the theater. No, but how about that cave?
Come back! Wait, I didn't even get to the apes yet.
How about that cave scene, man? Would an ape make a human doll who can talk?
Mama, one of the creepiest. Whoa. I live in a madhouse.
It's a madhouse.
It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Dude, you probably shouldn't yell.
Oh, whatever. So, that's Planet of the Apes. As performed by Bill Wurster.
Now to escape from the Planet of the Apes. No.
Some fucking monkeys.
They're apes, Bill!
Oh, yeah, that's right. Some fucking apes.
We had this conversation.
They crash land. We had this conversation off recording, by the way. The conversation he's referring to.
Yeah, and in that conversation we were referring to the apes that we actually evolved from. And I was like, Bill, they're not monkeys, they're fucking apes. Why don't you have some fucking respect for your ancestors? That is our great times a million grandmama.
It was the weirdest conversation, too, because it all stemmed from a conversation about abortion.
Yeah, there was the abortion conversation.
Apes.
Or the abortion conversation came from a conversation about fucking... I don't even remember.
I don't remember. We were talking about fucking... Oh, well, the beginning of the conversation was talking about how much money you'd have to get paid to suck a dick.
Oh, yeah. The how much money would you go down on a guy for game.
Right, and we determined, like, if somebody offers you $1 million to blow them, you're gonna do it. Otherwise, you do not love your family, as said by SNL.
You're an idiot.
Right. Like, $1 million is $1 million, and it's just one dick. Like, are you really so uncomfortable with your sexuality that you can't suck one dick for $1 million?
It's $1 million.
Right, and it's just, how long can it possibly take? Like, maybe maximum, like, exaggeration, you're talking 10 minutes.
Right. Maybe. I don't know.
Right?
Never.
So, just suck the dick.
Actually, a good question. I had to ask Adam about that. Anyway.
Well, I wonder how much money we have to pay Adam to eat pussy. I guess I don't know why we'd be paying him, but I guess the woman. How much would the woman pay him?
Actually, you know what? Well, let's flip the script. Everybody's always playing the how much money would you go down on a guy for game. They never play the how much money would you have to pay a gay dude to eat a woman game. If somebody offers you $1 million
to eat pussy,
and you don't,
well, hang on. Let me ask this question. So, we're two straight men being paid to go down on a presumably gay man. Or I guess he could be a straight guy just with a weird fucked up fetish. Is it an attractive man by man standards? Or is it just, it doesn't matter, it's like a dude who looks like us?
I mean, I don't think it really fucking matters, I mean.
But doesn't it though? Because it's like, I don't know, Dylan. Like,
Bill, are you worried about the way that your benefactor who's going to pay you $1 million to suck his dick, are you worried about what he looks like?
I'm not saying it's a worry. I'm saying, does it matter? Like, does it change anything in your mind? Because it certainly does to me. Like, if I had to choose, like, all right, so Dylan, you have to either suck the dick of John Stamos or the dick of fucking John Candy. Whose dick are you sucking?
I mean, is the $1 million in this scenario?
Choose. Yeah, they're still going to pay you $1 million, but you have to choose.
I mean, I guess if you have to choose between those two, I guess the choice is pretty fucking obvious.
Because he's considered to be the more attractive of the two.
But it's like, this scenario is getting more and more outrageous.
No, it's not, because it's kind of an interesting question of, like, does it matter how attractive the dude is if you're a heterosexual man just doing it for the money?
I mean, again, that's if you have the option, but you're probably not going to.
True. But is there... Okay, alright, let's make another question. Is there a dude that would be too ugly or too disgusting for you to be paid $1 million to suck his dick?
Not off the top of my head. It's $1 million fucking dollars.
Well, what's the horrible... Alright, what if he's the dude from the Metallica video 1? What if it's that dude? And he's horribly disfigured and not able to speak. He just makes guttural grunts at you.
I mean, it'll be horrible, but you know what'll be great? $1 million.
But, yeah. But, so you would still do it?
I suppose so.
Alright. Well, what is, like, the ugliest dude in your mind? Like, what is, like, go to the absolute over-the-top possible person where it's like, ew, wouldn't even want to be in the same room as them, but for $1 million. So what would be that dude?
I don't fucking know.
Describe him. What do you find? I mean, there gotta be people when you go out in the world, you see them, you're just like, ugh. There's gotta be people with like skin deformities and like weird.
I mean, I guess the worst case scenario, the dude has fucking like lionitis.
Oh God. Right.
Bringing that back.
Old school DFOS reference. Alright, so he's got lionitis. Are you still doing it? Because at this point I'm starting to reconsider.
I mean, I'm sure there would be more internal debate, but it's still $1 million fucking dollars. I've never seen $1 million.
But it's like, alright, but it's like, you still have to live with the shame of it. You know what I mean? Despite the fact that, like, ooh, I have $1 million. But it's like, you still, like, every day you're going to spend that money and go, I had to suck a guy who had lionitis' dick to get this $1 million. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Like, you're still going to have nightmares, like, where it's like, you just see that face. And that dick.
Do you think the lionitis affects the dick?
I imagine so. I mean, the Elephant Man, did he have lionitis or did he have something else?
I don't fucking know. I always assumed he had elephantitis.
Well, hang on. The dude from Mask, or The Mask, or whatever the fuck the movie's called.
That's lionitis.
The guy. Yeah. Well, do you think his dick was screwed up? Because the rest of his body was normal. It was just his face.
You know, I think it's a skull thing, so I don't think it would have any effect on the other extremities.
The Elephant Man, on the other hand.
That guy.
Different story.
Jesus.
Completely different story. So I guess it would be fine. But elephantitis is another story. You might not be able to get in there. It's so fucked up. But you know, but it's also like we're saying, oh, it's $1 million. It's so worth it. But then it's like you still have to do it, and doing it is the worst part.
Well, it's gonna fucking suck, yeah.
Literally.
For lack of a better term.
Right. It's not going to be a pleasant... But that's the hurdle, though, is doing it. It's like the awkwardness of, like, all right, I'm going to pay you $1 million to suck my dick. Okay, I'll do it. All right, now do it. It's like, all right, I've never done this before.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking awful. But you know what? Afterwards, you'll have $1 million.
The other question is, why is he paying you $1 million to perform this service when he knows it's not going to be good? You know what I mean? He could go to a professional prostitute or an attractive woman, or even like an experienced gay man.
It's none of my.
And it's going to be drastically like, what is it about the inexperienced, unwilling dude that makes him want to, you know?
It's none of my business. It's none of my business why he's a fucking idiot. No.
Reminds me of that fucking line in Death in Heaven where the doctor is, the guy's, Dr. Chang is like, he believed that the white noise that you hear on the television is the dead communicating with the living. And the doctor goes, was he an idiot? So seriously, like, well, like almost like if he's asking if he had a disease.
Was he
an idiot?
Was he an idiot? I'm so sorry for his family.
And he was able to tap into those frequencies. So he was an idiot then. Oh, great stuff.
So this was the strange conversation that we had.
Yeah, that was the weird conversation we had.
We had that conversation, and then there was something about trannies, and then it got on abortion, and then it was Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah, the tranny conversation where it was the question of if you're dating an attractive girl for an extended amount of time, and you find out that she used to be a he, how do you respond? And I think we both came down to we have to end the relationship just on the sheer virtue of. I mean, even if you can get over the hurdle of like, you know, used to be a man, it's still like she still built your relationship on a foundation of lies, so that's not healthy anyway. So you're gonna have to end the relationship on that.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. Not gonna lie.
It is. It's like she's kind of an asshole for not telling you.
Like, imagine if she waits till like the day you're getting married.
See, then it'd be like, the wedding's off, you're a horrible person, fuck you, I'm gone.
The fucking priest says, you may now kiss the bride. You do it, and then afterwards she just whispers in your ear, I used to have a penis.
I mean, I'd be so shocked at that point. I mean, my reaction would be unpredictable. I literally could not even tell you from the viewpoint I am in now what my reaction would be. I might go crazy and start just randomly murdering people. Like a goddamn psychopath. Like a lion with a thorn in its paw. I would just randomly just start mawing people.
People see it on the news. People see it on the news and they're like, well, this is a clear-cut case. I found out his wife used to have a dick.
Man goes crazy when he finds out she used to be a he. What about this? This is a situation that has been explored very, very, like, you know, briefly in like films and TV and stuff. Like they did it on House once, kind of. What if you, in your current day and age, like your parents were like, Dylan, honey, you know, they sit you down in the living room. They've prepared like some nice tea and crumpets, so you know something's up because this never happened.
Yeah, because we're in fucking America.
Right, exactly. So it's weird. And they're like, Dylan, honey, you know we love you very much. But you used to be a girl.
I can't even take that scenario seriously because it's so.
I mean,
it would never happen.
So, well, it's possible. I mean, you know.
No, it's possible for some people maybe, but you don't understand. My family is very anti-sex change. I'm sort of the progressive one of the group.
Well, let's just say it's like, you know, like there was some like horrible medical accident where it had to happen. Like, what if it wasn't even intentional? Like, what if it was just you were born a girl and then just like something happened in your body that just slowly turned you into a man?
That would be weird.
Like some kind of fly transformation.
That would be some like alien shit. I don't even know.
Right. Well, whatever. We won't get into the scientific merits of this, but let's just say like it happened. Like. Would you be comfortable? But would you be comfortable with your identity as a man now, or would you feel the need to be like, well, then I guess that's what I was meant to be, so I'm going to go back to that and just start acting really girly? Like you start wearing skirts and you stop watching Godzilla movies and you start watching like Lifetime.
No, I really don't know why anyone would want to be a woman.
Oh, this goes back to that Louis C.K. bit. I'm so glad to be born a white man. It's just so great. Not that it should be. Not that I'm any better. But it's just the societal advantages to that are just too great.
No, it's fucking amazing, honestly.
It's pretty... It's pretty great. Not to rub it in our listeners' faces who may not be, but... Yeah, you kind of missed out.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, being born a man is great. Being born a white man in America...
Lottery of life.
That's just the best.
It shouldn't be. We really don't deserve it, but
It's fucking awesome.
If you had to be dealt a hand, that would be the hand.
Except no substitutes.
Except no substitutes. So that's why one day we're going to pay for it.
That's why we got to get militarized now, man.
Exactly.
We must prepare to crush the rebellion.
We must prepare for the day when when the rest of the world is like, this is kind of fucking bullshit. Why do they get all the perks?
I'm afraid this battle station will be quite operational when the blacks arrive.
Not even just the blacks, the women. Basically everybody who's not us.
Who's not a white male in America. The rest of the world, basically. It's like...
Exactly. Like, because it's very specific, like, American white man. That's it.
Used to be European white man, but we've really edged out that crowd, huh?
I mean, well, I don't know. I guess the English aren't treated with any sort of prejudice. Even when they come over. I mean, I guess of course, you can make fun of their accent, but it's like, dude, you wouldn't even exist if it weren't for us. So they can still hold that over your head. So, but there's this arrogance with the white American man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this arrogance of like, we deserve certain things. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah.
So, why are we talking about this?
I don't know. This is a strange conversation.
This is a strange conversation.
Not that any of our conversation in the rest of this episode was much more normal than this. Actually, it was. We started out with a pretty basic Star Trek conversation this episode. Then it's like fucking sucking dicks.
Then we're sucking dicks and finding out we used to be girls, and then we're talking about racial prejudice.
Talking about how much better we have it than other people.
Yeah, I'm sorry, listeners. This is not what you signed up for when you started listening to this. I don't want this to be the foot that we begin 2015 on.
Fucking white people problems.
White people problems, hashtag.
Well, what are some of the disadvantages of being a white man in America? I have no rhythm.
We can't dance and we can't jump, I guess.
No, jumping's not allowed.
We're pretty much the least cool people on the planet.
We underperform in most of the most popular sports.
We're really lazy.
Which is kind of our fault because we kind of, at a certain point in history, bred them to be more athletic. We really...
Oh, you're talking about us? Oh, I see. Yeah, well...
We kind of shot ourselves in the foot on that one.
Well, it's true. We kind of... Listen,
and then you got these racist-ass KKK members wanting to know, why is everyone in the NBA black? Well, I'll tell you. You wanted them to pick more cotton, remember?
No, because I'm 35 years old. What's your fucking fault?
Remember when your great-great-granddaddy wanted him to pick more cotton? Oh, yeah. He told me that story.
I read that in the family journal.
That story's been passed down.
Much like the story of Caesar in Planet of the Apes. Well, Planet of the Apes is kind of a story of racial prejudice. Both towards the apes towards the humans and the apes towards each other.
Even more so in the original series, I mean.
Yeah, the modern ones aren't really about that. That's more about... I mean, they are a little bit.
So fucking obvious what conquest...
the thing about the rebooted franchise with Rise and Dawn is that it's more about the beginnings of a new civilization than it is about the racial prejudice that exists in a civilization.
Well, and all the prejudice stuff is done a lot more subtly. Like, in Conquest of Planet of the Apes, it's no mystery what they might be alluding to.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, they bring it up in dialogue when McDonald starts talking to Caesar, like, hey, as a descendant of slaves, I feel your pain, but this is not the right thing to do.
Maybe overreacting. Just a tad.
Maybe a tad overreacting, Caesar. I get it. Listen, I get it. Trust me.
You're the only...
I don't like the white man that much either, but...
Let's be real. Right now, you're the only intelligent ape. I don't even understand how you've got these other ones holding guns and shit. This is pretty fucking bizarre. There's no, like...
I don't even know how we trained them to, like, clean houses without freaking out and starting to beat people up, because the thing about the original Planet of the Apes series is that they really underrepresent the strength a male adult chimpanzee has.
The other thing is,
like, there's no way we're training them and forcing them to clean our houses and clean our toilets, because they would be like, "Fuck you! I'm breaking your arm and ripping out your testicles."
well, you ever thought about fucking in those fucking original movies, where it's like fucking okay in the new movie, right? It's like Caesar uses the gas to make the other apes smart, all right. But in the old movie, it's just sort of like a conceit. Like, oh, there's one smart ape, so now they're all going to learn from him, and they're all going to become smarter. And now,
well, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder in the timeline without Caesar how they got so smart. Because the whole reason why they got smart in the timeline that we see in the franchise is because Caesar was or because his parents went back in time, and then retroactively, kind of John Connor style, made the future happen because of the future's interaction with the past. Kind of a paradox.
Right.
The future happens because of the past, but the past only happens because of the future. You know what I mean?
Well.
So it makes you wonder what happened to make them so smart. And also the other thing, the problem with the original, the biggest plot hole that I always thought of in the original series was if the reason why the human race fell was because we blew up the world with nukes. Well, how the fuck did the apes survive?
Magic?
Magic? I mean, it's like, wouldn't the apes be wiped out just like we were?
Well, to be fair, we weren't all wiped out.
Right. True. But here's the other thing.
So I imagine the ape population probably took a dip right around that time, too.
You know what also, now that I'm thinking about it, it also kind of makes sense that the Forbidden Zone is where it is. Because, think about this. I mean, don't they bring up in that movie, and in the first movie, how it was, like, poisonous and shit and dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about this. Where do they find the Statue of Liberty? So where did New York used to be? In the middle of the Forbidden Zone.
Right.
And in the midst of a nuclear war, where do you think other countries are going to send most of the nukes?
I mean, we see the ruins of some of the, like, New York's ruins in beneath.
Yeah. So, but my point is, it kind of makes sense that the apes build their city where they build it relative to Manhattan, because it's, and of course it's over 1,000 years in the future, after the war, we presume anyway. So I guess it kind of makes sense that the radiation would be lower. I mean, how long is the half-life for? I forget. They mention it in fucking Gamma Guardian of the Universe, how long the half-life is for, like, a modern nuclear weapon.
I don't know, and I definitely don't know what the half-life was in the 60s.
I mean, it'd be close enough, wouldn't it? Because at a certain point they were like, we've kind of developed it as deadly as we possibly could.
I don't know.
But anyway, we're talking about things that we can't even begin to comprehend.
And then they made one with a cobalt casing and blew up the planet.
Exactly.
For science.
Why did they make it gold? Did the mutants paint it gold later, or was it always gold? I guess it would have been gold, because the whole part of the reason why they worship it is because it's a big gold bomb.
Maybe they wanted it to be gold because it looks awesome.
The people who built the bomb?
Yes.
Because we know the mutants didn't build the bomb.
No. Presumably their ancestors would have, right?
Right. Well, exactly. Like, the bomb was probably built before they blew up the world.
Because the, like, launch mechanism is intact, which really makes you wonder why they built, like, this nuclear bomb that can destroy the world and its launch mechanism in New York City.
Yeah, it's kind of, well...
In, like, a church.
Well, no. They built the church. I presume they built the church around it later.
Yeah, perhaps.
My question is, why is it operated via crystal? What is it, the fucking Fortress of Solitude?
Did right before fucking the end of the world did we become Kryptonians?
Yeah, is it like fucking Superman Red Sun, where it's like they changed the origin, where it's not like he's from an alien world, like just Superman is actually from the future, and we developed Kryptonian technology, and then it's so far removed that we think it's an alien world or whatever?
I mean, if
by the way, that ending was some bullshit.
If Planet of the Apes had been in the DC universe, it would have made sense. I mean, DC already has super intelligent apes. They live in Africa.
That's right. That's right. That is right. But no, that doesn't make any sense, because if we're saying that if we were to force the Planet of the Apes universe with the DC universe, that wouldn't make sense, because those apes are beyond us. They're more advanced than we are. It would actually make more sense if you mash the DC universe with the Planet of the Apes of the book.
Yeah.
Because the book, they're more advanced.
I wonder if... no, never mind. Yeah, you're right. Unless,
like, the war happened, and then...
The
war! And then maybe some of the apes, like, escaped from that city to kind of populate the Earth after it was abandoned by the people, and then they just didn't bring the technology with them and had to start from scratch, almost like a colony. Then I guess that would... No, even then, it's like it wouldn't have taken them as long to develop that technology.
What if they're two completely different sets? What if the fucking super advanced apes still exist in Africa?
And then the Planet of the Apes situation happens without in any way connecting back to those intelligent apes.
Because the intelligent apes in Africa separate themselves from the outside world anyway.
All right, but my thought was, well, the world ends, so they're like, well, what's the point? So let's go conquer it if there's nobody else there, or let's just take it for ourselves.
I mean,
But I guess if you're saying
they would have to deal with the Atlanteans, though.
Oh, well, why wouldn't... I would presume that the Atlanteans would be wiped out as well.
I mean, they're under the sea, though.
Yeah, but it's nuclear submarines, though, Dylan.
Wasn't that Stromberg's whole plan in fucking The Spy Who Loved Me? I'm gonna destroy the world with nuclear weapons while I'm chilling in my underwater city.
True, but if we're doing like a war situation where it's everybody firing on each other, because that's how that whole situation happens. It's not like it's one person firing a bunch of nukes out. Or I guess it is that way, but it's like it's fire and then retaliation, and that's why nuclear war is so scary and why that would be the end of the world.
This is how Planet of the Apes comes to be. All right, I'm gonna lay it down right here.
All right. Hang on, setting it up. Dylan is about to lay down the law of. He's basically the lawgiver right now.
This is how Planet of the Apes happens in the real world. Sony makes the interview.
Wouldn't that be fucked up if in like an alternate continuity of the Planet of the Apes, like fucking the world didn't end because of some like political conflict. It ended because of fucking a movie.
With fucking Seth Rogen in it.
And James Franco, who was in a Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a weird coincidence.
He's responsible for both the fictional and real Planet of the Apes.
What if Planet of the Apes happened, and then the reason why it happened was because they used the rebooted movies as like an instruction manual on how to do it, like some apes. They saw the movie like, we could totally do that. That makes sense. Let's do it. Let's create a virus and then kill all the people. And then we'll take it over.
Makes so much sense.
Makes a lot of sense, Dylan, is what I think. It would almost make more sense, actually, for... Not really, actually, never mind. I was going to say it'd make more sense for Planet of the Apes to happen in the Marvel Universe, but that actually makes less sense.
Yeah, there's no precedent for super intelligent apes in the Marvel Universe.
Well, the other thing is, like, wouldn't the Asgardians be like, hey, we should totally do something about that?
Wouldn't S.H.I.E.L.D. just fucking kill all the intelligent apes?
No, because, I mean...
Or do something about it?
S.H.I.E.L.D. is just an elevated version of the CIA, so they'll be like, well, why didn't the CIA just kill all the apes? It's like, well, because the situation didn't call for that.
But they know what they're dealing with.
But the other thing is that in most continuities, the apocalypse happening and the apes taking over is not happening at the same time. There's a time gap in between.
Right.
Not in the new continuity. They kind of do that in reverse, where the apes kind of escape first and become intelligent and set up their own civilization, and then the humans basically destroy themselves.
Well, it wasn't necessary to do it that way because now we're introducing the idea of genetic engineering being behind the super intelligent apes.
Well, I think that the version of the event of the timeline that we see in Rise and Dawn makes more sense than the original.
Yeah.
Just of the lack of nuclear weapons. I mean, I'm sure some nukes were... no, they do say that nukes were fired. in the new continuity at the beginning of Dawn, they're like, yeah, some radiation got out, and that's how a lot of people died, but it's not like the whole planet like started shooting nukes at each other. I like that it's, well, we got wiped out by a virus that we created, and the same virus that wiped us out also made the apes smarter.
Yeah, the whole simian flu idea was just genius on the part of the writers.
Really, those two movies are so well written in regards to the story.
They are.
So well thought out and well executed and well paced. Just beautifully done.
I'm telling you, ever since I listened to the fucking audio commentary for Dawn, I have a new level of respect for that guy whose name escapes me. Yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant man. Fantastic work on that movie.
And he didn't direct the first one either, but Dawn feels like such a strong sequel.
It does. He didn't direct or write the first one, but he was a big fan of it.
It had nothing to do with the first one. I guess it's kind of like...
And apparently Fox's, or whoever, yeah, it's Fox, isn't it? Their pitch to him about original pitch for what they wanted Dawn of the Planet of the Apes to be was very, very different. And he told them, thinking that they were going to tell him to piss off and that he wouldn't get to do the project, he went in and said, okay, here's my pitch for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And he's the one who said, we need to start with the apes and do this and do that and all this. And then, to his surprise, they said yes. But
what was their original pitch?
I have no fucking idea.
I guess, I'm presuming their pitch was focus on the humans.
Yeah, they wanted, originally, he said this in the commentary, originally it was going to start with the humans. And you and I are like, this movie is so much better because it's about the apes.
Yeah. And it's about a conflict between the apes. And the humans are just the catalyst for it. Because the hero and villain of that movie is Caesar's the hero and Koba's the villain. You know what I mean? I think everybody went in expecting Caesar and the apes to be the heroes and Dreyfus to be the villain, and that's not true at all.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting Gary Oldman to be a villain. He's not a villain whatsoever.
He's very extremely likable and extremely rational. I was so surprised by that, and I gave that movie so many kudos for that. But also because, we go into these movies more so because of the interest in the civilization of the apes, especially with the precedent of Rise using Caesar as the protagonist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because part of the genius of Rise of the Planet of the Apes is that it's such a personal, small story. And Matt Reeves talked about this once, where he was like, it's such a small story about a very big idea.
Mm-hmm.
About a world run by apes, but how does it begin with one ape? And the story of that one ape is the truly interesting part. So that's what I find so brilliant about those two movies. Even in Dawn, it's not like they tell the story of Caesar and then it's the next chapter in the history of the civilization. This trilogy, or I guess, have they said it's going to be a trilogy, or have they not put a restriction on it like that?
I haven't heard anything about any sort of restrictions. I know that the third movie is confirmed.
Yeah, well, that was for certain. We have to see the war between. Now they've built up the war. Now we have to see the war happen.
And I know that Matt Reeves is involved again, and I can't wait to see what he does in the third movie.
I hope they keep him. Although I wouldn't freak out if they didn't, because it kind of strikes me as a Star Wars situation.
No, I'm telling you, he's already confirmed. He's doing the third movie.
He's directing it.
At the end of the commentary on Dawn, he says, I'm off right now to start sorting out the details for the third movie.
Awesome. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I hope they take their time, though, and make it as good as Dawn.
Yeah, well, at that point, when he was doing the commentary, they're still in the writing stage, I'm pretty sure.
Just hammer that script out and make it great, and then
I have no idea when.
Go do their magic and let Andy Serkis do his magic, and let's see it. The only thing that they've confirmed is that Caesar is going to kind of be like a Moses figure,
mm-hmm.
which is a little strange because he seems to be more like that in the first movie. So does that mean that the humans are going to take over the apes again? And then Caesar's going to lead them to freedom, like the Promised Land type of thing?
I don't know.
Or my presumption was he's just going to be really old now in the sequel. Because he's older in Dawn, so is he going to be like 60 in whatever the third one's going to be called?
I don't know.
Twilight of the Planet of the Apes, Eclipse of the Planet of the Apes.
Not a bad title.
I mean, at this point, we're just stealing titles from Twilight, though.
Walking with the Planet of the Apes.
Walking with the Planet of the... That's a weird title. I always thought it should be War for the Planet of the Apes. That's never been used. I mean, it's kind of close to battle, though, so maybe not.
Skirmish over the planet.
Skirmish! Violence on the Planet of the Apes. I mean, that's kind of what those... Remember that TV show? The Planet of the Apes TV series?
Yeah.
And they did a bunch of movies that were just episodes of the show packaged as a movie, and they were called, like, Pride and Prejudice on the Planet of the Apes, Liberty, Life, Death, and Liberty on the Planet of the Apes.
War and Peace on the Planet of the Apes.
Fucking gay rights and abortion debate on the Planet of the Apes.
Transgenders on the Planet of the Apes.
I'd pay to see that movie. Fucking economic strife and recession on the Planet of the Apes. Election month on the Planet of the Apes.
Taxation without representation on the Planet of the Apes.
The Apes. Revolution of the Planet of the Apes wouldn't be that bad of a title, though. I don't think they've ever done that. The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
Nazi apes, that'd be interesting.
I
guess that's kind of what Ursus is, though, right?
Nazis on the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, Dylan. Now, are they Nazi apes, or do the Nazis travel to the Planet of the Apes?
I don't know. What if we had both?
I guess that'd be kind of interesting, though. It's like, what if one of the apes is like, those fucking chimpanzees and their goddamn fucking money-grubbing nature, I want to kill them all.
What if a subsect of mutants revive the Nazi party on the Planet of the Apes?
There we go. That'd work.
Then they begin their final solution for the Planet of the Apes.
Then wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be like? Wouldn't it be interesting? No. Fuck that. What if I see ape Nazis and they're like, oh, the chimpanzees and the orangutans, it's gorilla perfection. He's Gorilla Hitler.
We will create a race of blonde-haired, blue-eyed apes.
Apes.
How? I don't know.
Well, I haven't worked out all the details yet.
For some reason, those orangutans are those colors, even though they should be orange.
Right. Well, think about it like this. What if he's like a human lover, though? Because Hitler was a huge, loved animals. So what if the gorilla loves humans?
That's pretty fucked up.
That would be fucked up. I'm writing a genius Planet of the Apes movie right here. The only thing I want them to do for certain in the third movie is bring in the lawgiver. That has to happen at some point. You know what I mean?
Make it Maurice.
I mean, he kind of is already in in Dawn, though, right?
Maybe he's teaching them about not apes. And Caesar says that.
You're cutting out really bad.
I am.
You're good now. I mean, he's the one who writes the ape, not kill ape. I was glad they kept that too. That was a major part of the original series.
Right, it made me think of that line from fucking Battle where the little short orangutan is like, ape has never killed ape.
What about that ending? That creepy ass ending where it's like, ape has killed ape, and they scare fucking Aldo up into the tree.
That was fucking...
Ape has killed ape!
And then an ape killed another ape.
And then... Well, no, technically Aldo killed himself.
You remember that moment when we were in the theater watching Dawn, and Maurice pushes the bus over and crushes those apes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, ape just killed an ape.
Ape just killed a lot of ape. I guess that law, though, doesn't apply to battle situations because, it's like, murder is illegal, but soldiers kill people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it's that kind of thing where it's like, we're not allowed to murder each other in our own society, but once war happens, it's like all bets are off. It's murder on murder.
What if they address that? Like Caesar is standing and Koba's hanging from the little precipice, and Koba says, ape, not kill ape. And Caesar's like, yo, Maurice already killed like 10 apes.
So all bets are off now, Koba. You're fucking dead.
I'm done with you. All bets are off.
Koba is not Ape. Boom! Did you think it was kind of a mistake, though, to kill him the way they did? I don't mean like him falling off the ledge. That's fine. But the way they show it is kind of unintentionally funny. Where, like, usually he would just fall off and fall to his doom. Like, kind of Mufasa-esque from fucking Lion King. But oh no. I mean, I guess it's just kind of to punish him more for the shit he did, but Koba falls, lands on, like, a catwalk, and then a crane falls on top of him. And then he falls.
I liked it because of how fucking brutal it was.
I know, but it's so, like, over the top. It's like, wow. This kind of crossed the line.
I thought that was the point.
Yeah. No, I get it. I just thought it was like when I first saw it, I was like, that's unintentionally funny.
I'm like, damn, nobody ever got it that bad.
Also, I feel like we're reviewing Dawn of the Planet of the Apes now, but I also like how...
Which we already did, by the way.
We've done this before, but anyway. I like how over the course of the movie, Caesar starts to talk more and not use the sign language as much.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
Next
although it'd be interesting... What was that?
In the next movie, they're all just going to be fantastic linguistic experts.
I imagine so, something like that. I mean, at the end, Blue Eyes is talking more and more. You imagine, though, that over time they're going to stop using, like, actual pet ape names and start giving them, like, real names, like Cornelius and Zira and Dr. Zaius.
It's a wonderful name, Dr. Zaius.
Oh, Dr. Zaius!
I'm going to name a kid Dr. Zaius.
Hang on. Do the apes have last names in the original series?
I don't know.
Dr. Zaius. Isn't Zaius his last name?
Unless Zaius is his first name, because nobody else seems to have a last name. You know, there's Cornelius, there's Zira.
Fucking, Julian. Fucking the other one.
Fucking the other one. They all just seem to have one name.
Well, this is interesting, and we were talking about the TV show. Have you seen any of the TV show, by the way?
I've seen some of it, yeah.
It's not very good.
It's not wonderful.
It's not terrible. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's fucking horrible. It's not that bad. It's just weird because it must take place in a different timeline because the people are talking.
Yeah. Or it's...
Unless it just takes place in the future. But that's not possible because Dr. Zaius is... I mean, it's an alternate timeline anyway because they're not all fucking dead.
It would make sense if it was set, like, before the first movie and, like, humans hadn't fully lost their ability to speak yet. But no, then Dr. Zaius shows up. It's like, okay.
No, also Dr. Zaius mentions Taylor by name in one episode.
It's a weird show.
He goes, yo, so, like, there was this dude, like, 20 years ago who was the same bullshit as you. He was like, fuck apes, I love Humies, and I killed him.
I love Humies.
I love Humies.
Alright.
And we were like, fuck you, gonna lock you in a cage and shoot you with a fire hose and give you a mate and then take her away. We're apes and we're fucking killers. Bah! Because that's how Dr. Zaius talks. Dr. Zaius is just a fucking guy from New York who's frustrated.
I'm down for that.
Oh, so I was like at the fucking office the other night, and fucking Humie comes in my fucking office, and he's all like in his loincloth and shit, and he's like, yo, Zaius. And I'm like, what up, Humie? And he's like, fuck you, and I was like, ooh, you fucking Humie. Fucking rustling my jimmies.
This is one of the great villains of sci-fi you're talking about.
I wouldn't call Dr. Zaius a villain.
He's sort of a villain in the first movie.
He's an antagonist, but I wouldn't call him a villain.
Fair enough.
And I think those are two different things, villain and antagonist.
Fair enough if you make that distinction. I don't usually, but...
I think you kind of have to, though, because not every antagonist is a villain. I mean, you can't call fucking, like, I'm trying to think of a movie that doesn't really have heroes and villains. I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of any.
Well, I mean, you know, Forrest Gump doesn't have a villain, but it doesn't really have an antagonist either.
What is the conflict of Forrest Gump? It's basically him
dealing with his stupidity.
So I guess his stupidity is the antagonist because it gives him the conflict.
It's more of a man versus himself type.
But it's not really. But what is the conflict of Forrest Gump, though? Is he even combating? Like, there are really only a couple scenes devoted to him suffering problems because of his stupidity. More often, his ignorance and kind of and lack of understanding about how the world works actually ends in good things.
You know, I don't think there really is a conflict in Forrest Gump. It's just
it's kind of just an experience. And Forrest Gump is one of my favorites.
It's a man living his life, you know.
It's
just like sometimes there's a man.
Sometimes there's a man. Well, no, more of the point of Forrest Gump is the reason why it's kind of a perspective on American history through the eyes of somebody who doesn't take sides. Mm-hmm. All Forrest wants is to be with Jenny. That is the only thing that he wants in the whole movie. That is to make his
stupid to realize that she's a fucking cunt.
Yeah, exactly, and also kind of a rapist. As
kind of a rapist.
Well, Ian pointed this out when I told him, like, oh, Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies. He's like, I have a fundamental problem with that movie. It's kind of a double standard of, oh, we think that Jenny sleeping with him is so sweet, but what if you reverse the sexes on that situation? It's kind of fucked up. Because it's basically a perfectly normal person, like sleeping with somebody who can't really make decisions for themselves. It's basically the equivalent of you staying in the house of somebody who, like, of an autistic girl, sneaking into her room and having sex with her, and then leaving.
You realize how awkward that sex had to be? He's fucking he don't know where to put it.
He's fucking Forrest Gump. He don't know where to put it. Well, it's like that scene earlier in the movie where she brings him back to her dorm, and she fucking takes her shirt off, and he just fucking comes, and he doesn't know what... He's so confused and scared.
I was scared.
I was scared. I wasn't afraid to die.
Jizzed in my pants.
Just creamed my pants. Well, he wasn't wearing pants, and that's why he did.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was naked.
I don't remember.
I remember. Vividly.
Feels like, let me tell you, for $1 million.
For $1 million? I'd suck Forrest Gump's dick. And he has the money, too. He's a fucking millionaire.
That's true. That's true. Bubblegum Shrimp is a household name.
Bubblegum Shrimp.
And in real life, a chain of restaurants. So.
Yeah, it's true. Have you ever been to one?
I have.
Is it good?
It was good shrimp.
I've always wanted. There's one in Times Square, and I've always wanted to go, but I've never. I don't love. Like, I like shrimp, but not enough to go to a restaurant devoted to it.
Actually, the first time I ever actually tried shrimp was in a Bubble Gump.
All right, I have to go. Don't they like play the movie on a consistent loop in the restaurant?
Well, I don't remember them doing that, but all of the decor was Forrest Gump related.
Right. So like the shoes, the fucking
yeah.
What else is some Forrest Gump iconography? The box of chocolates.
Ours had the bench out front.
Oh, the bench. That's right. What else is there? The braces for his legs, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's just all kinds of shit all over the place.
Is it kind of strange that he doesn't seem to age at all from the mid '60s to fucking the late '80s?
No, man.
Or is the movie supposed to take place in present day? I always thought it took place in it ends in the late '80s.
I think it's supposed to end around the time that all the AIDS shit is going down. So yeah, like.
That's kind of the interesting. It starts off with all the. It basically starts off at the beginning of the atomic age, and then ends, or at the beginning of the Cold War, and it ends at the end of the Cold War.
Yeah, pretty much, right around in that area.
So it's kind of it goes through like the civil rights riots to like the '60s counterculture to Vietnam to '80s capitalism and the kind of Reaganomics type of thing. So it's kind of interesting in that way. It's really interesting to watch it go from the '60s counterculture to the Reagan era, which was the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, this has been fucking Cinephiles with Dillion and Bill. Intellectual concerns with Dillion and Bill.
About Forrest fucking Gump and how
Forrest fucking Gump, Dawn of the fucking Planet of the fucking Apes.
And his inability to know where to put the damn thing.
Right, exactly. I wonder if Forrest Gump saw Planet of the Apes.
Oh, he had to, right?
I mean, probably. But I want to see his review.
You think he saw Star Wars?
Probably. He probably saw Star Wars.
His review was, they was flying.
In spaceships. Mama said, life is like Star Wars. You ain't never know what you gonna get.
The Force.
No, she said life was like Star Wars. It's like shooting womp rats back home.
The Force was like a box of chocolates.
Force was like, you ain't never know what you gonna get.
Are you stupid or something?
Stupid is as stupid does.
The Force is as the Force does.
You know, I've been driving a Lincoln long before anybody ever paid me to.
Oh, shit.
I've been stupid long before anybody ever paid me to.
I just like the way it feels.
I just like the way it feels. I don't think we're going to top that, Dylan. I think we should wrap this up.
I just like the way it feels.
I just like the way it feels. I think we should end it on that. Announcements. Godzilla Odyssey is going to be coming in a few weeks, the third issue.
Sometimes in order to go forward, you got to run across the desert.
He does that sometimes to run across the country. You got to run back. Oh, so Dylan.
Matthew McConaughey should have played Forrest Gump.
Matthew McConaughey is Forrest Gump.
All right.
Dylan, aside from Godzilla Odyssey, you have a new episode of Kaiju Spotlight up.
What? I'm sorry, I was laughing. I didn't hear what you said.
You have a new episode of Kaiju Spotlight up. Talk about that.
I have a new episode of Kaiju Spotlight up. Go watch it.
Indeed. Link in the description. Also, I just did my annual Q&A for 2014 right at the end, which you can now watch on my channel, answering your questions for live and all of its 4.5-hour glory.
I was there.
For half of it, yeah.
I fucked up, too.
So anyway, so you can go watch that and watch Dylan's...
That wasn't the biggest fuck-up of the evening, though.
What was the biggest fuck-up of the evening?
The fact that they couldn't watch the fucking trailer.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, this is the other announcement that I have to make. On that Q&A, I attempted to fucking premiere the trailer for my upcoming addendum to Godzilla Odyssey, in which I review Godzilla 25... I'm sorry, not Godzilla Odyssey, Godzilla Palooza, in which I review Godzilla 2014. And I played it on the live show, and nobody could fucking see it because Dylan's icon took up the whole fucking screen while the trailer was playing.
Yeah, and then this was fucked up because I only talked fucking once. The rest of the times my fucking picture popped up, I didn't say a fucking thing.
Right, exactly.
I was like, fuck you, Google, fucking Google Hangouts. It's one thing when I decide to be a dick. It's another thing when you do a dick move without my permission.
Right.
Exactly. I like my dickery to be on purpose.
Right, precisely. So that was a thing. But you can now watch the trailer for Godzilla Palooza Addendum Godzilla 2014 on my channel under the name Ominous Promo, so you can go check that out. And Godzilla Odyssey Issue 3, in which Godzilla crosses over with Pacific Rim, as we also announced on the live show, is coming in a few weeks, so you can look out for that as well. So get excited, kids. Lots of stuff is happening. In terms of when my Godzilla Palooza addendum is going to be released, I'm shooting for January 15th. Is the day I'm shooting for. So anytime around there, though, it might go up earlier, it might go up later. We'll see. More announcements to come as it gets closer. It's only the first day of January and the first day of 2015. So anyway, well, technically now it's the second day because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So anyway.
Oh, forgot to mention the other thing we revealed about Godzilla Odyssey issue 2. Issue 3 in the live show was that there's going to be original kaiju, motherfuckers.
We created our own kaiju specifically for that shit.
And I'm not gonna lie, I think they're kind of badass, huh?
The names especially are fucking badass. And you'll all learn about that when the issue comes out, and you can read it with your eyeballs and put it in your brain hole.
What he tried to say, huh? Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to mention.
Mm-hmm.
In the New Year's episode of Zazubaar, we
that other show we do,
the title of which I could not think of for a second. We make a point, as we did last year, to address all of the famous people who had died.
Oh, yeah.
However, after having recorded that episode, there was one more death right there at the end of 2014. It just snuck right up on in there, and I found out about it.
It waited until the last minute, goddamn procrastinator.
And then I found out about it this week. Christine Cavanaugh, voice actress who did several things, but will perhaps be best known to my generation as the voice of Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory.
And Chucky from Rugrats.
Also Babe. I didn't know that.
Babe, the pig. Yep.
Anyway, she did.
Yeah, she passed away 2 days ago.
I don't know.
Last week of 2014, she passed away.
Yeah. I think she passed away on the 22nd.
Okay.
And we didn't find out about it until earlier this week. Kind of like with Koichi Kawakita, how he died on the 5th, but we didn't know about it until like the 10th or something. Some fucked up date like that in the double digits. But anyway, she's dead, so just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call. She will be missed, and she defined her voice was the voice of several cartoons of a generation. She was involved in so many cartoons that shaped our generation, Rugrats, Dexter's Lab. She was also the voice of the kid in fucking Darkwing Duck.
Was she really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I love Darkwing Duck.
She was involved in so many great cartoons, and so many of them that shaped our generation, so she will be missed. Once again, to quote Hollywood Babylon, big bucket of win.
I have no idea how old she was, but it seems like from the pictures I've seen, it seems like she died pretty young, right? I mean,
sucks. Yeah. Indeed. So some sadness, some weirdness, and some apeness here on this week's episode of the Demons from Outer Space. For 2015, I'm Bill Worcester, aka Zazubaar.
Super DM64.
And them Germans, as they've been for a long-ass time, and they'll continue to be all throughout 2015.
Wow, way to be presumptuous, Way to just single out a whole group of people and be like, you know what, y'all are assholes, and you're always going to be assholes.
You have no chance of redemption whatsoever. It's just always gonna suck. Fine, new catchphrase.
Way to paint with a broad fucking brush, Jesus.
You racist fuck. I see nothing, cause it's a podcast. Good night, folks.